So guys, welcome to my channel and thanks for watching. Let's start making the macOS Big Sur USB installer with OpenCore Bootloader, all using the Windows environment. I'm going to download macOS package here, for a Python script, which is required for downloading macOS Big Sur files. Head over to github.com website, link for same is given in the description box. Click the green clone or download button, and then choose download as zip. As you can see here on my desktop, the macOS master.zip file is downloading. I'm extracting it on my desktop. Now, open up the macOS master folder, and find macOS batch file, right-click and run as administrator. This will download a 6 MB source file, and you will be presented with the following. Please note, this will require Python software installed on your Windows 10, because using Python script on Windows to create the USB installer, Python software is necessary. When you run the macOS batch file, you will be presented with an option to download Python. Then, you will need to select yes to proceed with download and install. I have already installed Python software on my Windows 10 system. Also, a link to download Python software is given in the description box. Now you have to choose a version of the macOS which you want to download. I will go with the macOS Big Sur latest version. This version of macOS is currently a public release, which I am going to start downloading here. So choose one and then press enter and wait for the download to complete. Depending on your internet speed, this could take a while because the size of macOS Big Sur is 12.21 GB. After the download has finished, press enter and you will be back to the main menu. Here as you can see 6 files got successfully downloaded, from which I'm going to use install assistant.pkg. As we have finished with this command, now I'm closing this window by pressing the letter Q to quit. Now next step is to enable WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux, which is the Windows 10 new feature, a native Linux command line tool. You might know about this feature. This feature is available in the Windows 10 version 1903 or higher, with build 18362 or higher. To enable this feature, use this command, optional features, in the Run window. Scroll down and find the option to check the Windows Subsystem for Linux. Click the OK button. Click the Restart Now button. After restarting the system, the environment will be configured to download and run the distros of Linux, on Windows 10. I have restarted my system here. As you can see here, the Windows Subsystem for Linux has no installed distributions. Distributions can be installed by visiting the Microsoft Store. Open Microsoft Store. Search for the Linux distribution that you want to install. Some of the distros available include Ubuntu, Kali Linux and many more, from which you can choose any one to use as per your comfort. Here I'm choosing Ubuntu to install. Here you can read about Ubuntu. Click the Install button. Click the Launch button. Create a username for the Linux distro and press Enter. Specify a password for the distro and press Enter. Repeat the password and press Enter to confirm. After you complete the steps, you can start using the distro as any other flavor of Linux, without the graphical user interface, of course. As you have seen that in the command prompt by typing bash, and, by typing Ubuntu in the search bar, in both ways you can now access the command line. Now after installing the Linux command line, type this, very first command, which is on the screen. About this command. Sudo apt-get update doesn't actually install new versions of software. Instead, downloads the package lists from the repositories and it updates the package lists for upgrades for packages that need upgrading, as well as new packages that have just come to the repositories. Please note, you have to stay connected to the internet while running this command. The next command which has to type in the command line is shown on the screen. About this command, install 7-zip compression tool on Ubuntu, and use it to compress and decompress any file or folder. Next, you have to type and follow the exact same thing which is shown to you. As you can see here, this tilde, the character is specifying your home directory. Now, I'm in the root directory. A / is used to represent the root directory. ls, command, list files, and directories in bare format. This is a temporary mount point. You will find your local drive, C, mounted under the temporary mount point. Now I'm entering in the user's directory. Now inside the local user account directory. I'm entering in the desktop directory. On my desktop, there is a directory as you know, GIB macOS master. I'm entering inside the same directory, inside which you will find macOS downloads directory where our macOS Big Sur files were downloaded. As you can see here, downloaded, install assistant.pkg file, which I'm going to unpack. To do this, run this command as shown on the screen. This should give you the shared support.amg file. Here is our shared support.amg file, and the size of this file is 11.3 gigabytes. Now, right-click on this file to open it, with the help of 7-zip software, as shown to you. This required 7-zip software to be installed. As you can see here, it contains the base system.amg and base system.chunklist that we need. I'm extracting these two files one by one on my desktop. Here, as you can see, extracted files, and their size is on my desktop. That's it. Now exit the Linux command line. I have used this Linux command line here only to extract these two files, base system.amg and base system.chunklist, from the shared support.amg file, after unpacking it from the installer assistant.pkg file, which you have seen the whole process till now. Next, create a folder called com.apple.recovery.boot. Then move both basesystem.dmg and basesystem.chunklist files in this folder. Please make sure that both of these files, .dmg and .chunklist, are there in the folder. Now, with our macOS Big Sur installer, the next step is to format out USB. Making the bootable installer with opencore-EFI folder. Here, I have connected my USB drive with my system. Open up Disk Management. You should see all of your partitions and disks. On the bottom half, you'll see your devices. Find your USB. You'll want to format the USB to have a FAT32 partition. If you have multiple partitions on the USB, right-click each partition and click Delete Volume for your USB. This will remove data, make sure you have backups, and then remove partitions from your USB. Right-click the unallocated space and create a new simple volume. Make sure it is FAT32 and at least a gigabyte or too big. Name it EFI. Otherwise, right-click the partition on the USB and click Format, and set it to FAT32. Next, go to the root of this USB drive, and then move the created folder, com.apple.recovery.boot with the downloaded, basesystem.dmg, and basesystem.chunklist files in it, to the root of this USB drive. Next, to make your USB bootable, grab the EFI folder, and place this on the root of the USB drive alongside com.apple.recovery.boot folder. Once done, it should look like this. Now, guys, let me clear you few things here before moving to our next step. First thing, if you are new to this and trying first time to dual boot your system with OpenCore, don't know how to create and configure the OpenCore EFI folder, bootloader, for your platform, you can watch another detailed tutorial video on this available on my channel, the link for same is given in the description box. If you guys have your own, already created, OpenCore EFI folder, created for booting macOS Catalina earlier, with different versions of OpenCore, then you will need to simply update your OpenCore EFI folder with the latest version available to boot macOS Big Sur. At the end of this video, you will be going to see that how I had updated my OpenCore EFI folder to boot my macOS Big Sur. Second thing, the steps are shown to create macOS Big Sur USB installer in this video, might be you know. There is another way to obtain basesystem.dmg and basesystem.chunklist to make macOS Big Sur USB Internet Recovery installer, which requires good internet speed connection by using the Python script macrecovery.py for downloading Big Sur, either base system or recovery image files. But you will not be able to download the base system or recovery image files. You will get error while downloading this way, which I had faced already. So, you can try this way shown in this video to create the macOS Big Sur USB installer, which also requires a good internet speed connection, and do the installation or dual boot your system. I hope this tutorial video will be going to found useful to you, and learn new things that you might don't know. So now let's move towards our next step for dual booting macOS with Windows 10 without erasing the Windows partition. I'm going to shrink some space to create another partition for installing macOS in it. Open Disk Management. Here, Disk 0 is my system's internal SSD. And Disk 1 is my removable drive, USB drive. As you can see here in Disk 0 there are two partitions. The first one is the EFI partition of 100 MB in size and the second partition is for Windows 10. Here I'm going to shrink this Windows volume to create another volume for installing macOS in it. Create APFS Volume, and label the volume Hackintosh_HD. A new partition will get created. Now close the disk management. Next, I'm going to reboot my system and start booting the system from my macOS Big Sur USB installer, which I have created. From here you are going to see the mobile recorded screen for some time. I'm sorry for the bad recorded screen. Here I pressed the F12 function key for the boot menu. Once you have entered the boot menu, you can use the up and down arrows to select the device you want to boot from. Here, I'm booting from UEFI SanDisk, my USB installer. Now, on the Open Core Boot menu screen, choose option 1, EFI External. A macOS Utilities window will open. From the Utilities window in macOS Recovery, select Disk Utility, then click Continue. You may need to click on View, then, Show All Devices, before you can see the volume. Here as you can see, the first device is the Samsung SSD, system disk, and, the second is the SanDisk Ultramedia, USB installer. Now select Hackintosh HD Volume in the sidebar of Disk Utility. Click the Erase button in the toolbar, then enter the requested details, continue to use Hackintosh HD as the name. Next use APFS to format, and, click Erase. Click on Done, after the erase is done. Quit Disk Utility to return to the Utilities window. Select Reinstall macOS Big Sur, click Continue, then follow the on-screen instructions. Hey, guys, make sure at this time you are connected with the internet. I'm connected with the Ethernet port, the mine Wi-Fi card is not supported, and for this reason, Kext is also not available for the same. Now, here select the first partition labeled, Hackintosh_HD, created to install macOS in it. And click Continue to start installing macOS Big Sur in the partition. Now you can sit back and enjoy a cup of coffee till the installation gets finished. This will take 45 minutes to 1 hour, depending on the speed of the internet connection. The system will get restart 1 or 2 times in between the installation. You have to keep eye on the screen because when the system will get restart, you have to boot the system from the OpenCore USB installer to continue the installation. Otherwise, the system will get booted into the Windows 10. Because OpenCore Bootloader is not installed in the system's internal disk EFI partition. Once the installation will be done, our next step will be going to install the OpenCore Bootloader, from the USB installer, EFI partition, to the system internal disk EFI partition. Please note, this mobile recorded footage is fast-forwarded. Okay guys, macOS Big Sur is installed successfully. Now the time is to set up so that we can use the macOS Big Sur. Still things are loading. Here very first thing I get is keyboard setup assistant. Click continue. Now press these keys on the keyboard. Click done. This is my USB installer, EFI partition, which is currently connected with the system showing here. Let me show you the version of macOS Big Sur currently installed. Click the Apple menu, and then the About This Mac option. Here as you can see the macOS Big Sur version 11.2 and other system information. Next is to mount my system drives, EFI partition. To mount this partition, requires the OpenCore configurator, which I had already downloaded in the downloads. The link for the same to download is given in the description box. My system drives EFI partition is now mounted. Next, to see the mounted system drives EFI partition on the desktop. First, let me quit this OpenCore configurator. Now click on Finder, and then on Preferences. Check mark to show hard disks. As you can see here, the drive with no name is showing up on the desktop, is the system EFI partition. Now I'm going to copy the OpenCore bootloader from the root of the USB drive to the root of the system drive. That's it in macOS. Now one more thing is left to do. I'm going to do that thing in Windows. So, stay tuned to watch the interesting part coming ahead. If you want, you can unmount the root partition of the system drive. You can close the OpenCore configurator also, and the last thing to do is uncheck the hard disks. Now I'm going to restart the macOS. Still, I will need to boot from the USB installer. Here, due to Dell's laptop, I pressed the F12 key to bring the boot menu, and selecting an OpenCore to boot from the USB installer. Here, I'm selecting option number 2 to boot into Windows. This is the root drive of the USB installer. I'm ejecting it first. Next, I'm going to run the software, which is the Minitool Partition Wizard. to unhide the system's root drive. In Windows, this is an easy way to mount the system root drive with the help of this software. The link to download this software is given in the description box. As you can see, in this partition management software, the disk 1, in which the first partition is the 100 MB, EFI FAT32 is the system root drive. Right-click on it and select the option to unhide partition. Now assign a drive letter to this. Here I'm assigning the letter Z. And apply the pending changes. Here as you can see that I'm not seeing the system's root drive. Here I'm going to use another software, which is OC EFI. I had already downloaded it, and now installing it first, before using it. The link for the same is given in the description box. Before using this software, I'm showing you how can you access the system root drive after unhiding it by using the software Mini-Tool Partition Wizard. Type Task Manager in the search bar, and then right-click on it to run as an administrator. Now, click the File tab, and then click on the Run New Task option. Click on Browse. Now you will be able to see and access the system root drive, with the assigned letter Z. Here is our OpenCore bootloader in the EFI folder. You can copy any of this folder from here just by giving right-click on it to copy and paste outside of this drive, on the desktop. You can't drag and drop from here. Next, I'm going to use this software OC EFI. Now click on this option, Manage EFI Boot option. Next click on this small green color plus sign button to create a new entry. Next, select the type, Linux or other OS option, from drop-down menu. And in description type OC. Next, select the target partition, which is the FAT32 100 MB in size, system's root, in which our OpenCore bootloader is present. Here as you can see, you have to select the bootstrap.efi file, and then click on the OK button. Again click on the OK. Next, as you can see here, you have to move the newly created entry, OC, up at the top. Now, onwards, our preferred boot order is set to an OpenCore bootloader. System disk will boot by itself without the OpenCore USB installer. I'm going to reboot my system here, to check that if I'm able to boot into macOS, and then in Windows, one by one. I have already shown you that my USB installer is currently not connected with this system. Yes, my system is booting by itself by OpenCore bootloader, and presented me with an OpenCore boot menu with options to select, and to boot into macOS, and Windows. Next, I'm going to show how I had updated my OpenCore bootloader, that is, the EFI folder, to boot into macOS Big Sur. This requires the latest OpenCore package available to download. Here I'm going to download OpenCore package 0.6.5. Click the link OpenCore 0.6.5 release.zip to download. The link for the same to download is given in the description box. The second thing which requires to download is the proper tree, GUI.plist editor. Here I'm extracting the downloaded packages, one by creating the new folders, before using them. Next, I'm copying my EFI folder on the desktop. Here, as you can see, I'm using the x64 folder for my 64-bit UEFI system. This is the latest updated OpenCore EFI folder. I'm going to copy the SSDTs from the ACPI folder which is created for my system, the necessary firmware driver, and important texts which I had gathered for the working of the system's other devices. Here, first folder is the boot. Leave it, there is no need to copy and replace it with the new one. As you can see, ACPI folder is empty here. So I'm going to copy my already created SSDTs from the old ACPI folder into the new one. Next is the bootstrap folder. Skip it. Next is the drivers folder, from which I only need the hfs+.efi file. Now you will notice is that it comes with a bunch of files in drivers. So I'm deleting all files, except one file, open_runtime.efi. And copying the hfs+.efi file. Next is text folder, which is empty. Here I'm copying all of the texts which is required by my system. If you want, you can also download the latest updated texts if available for your system. Next is resources folder, leave it. Next is tools folder, that it comes with a bunch of files. So I am deleting most of these files except one file, which is the openshell.efi. Next is the configuration file which is required. So copying the same here. Last file which is, as you can see here, is the opencore.efi. Do not replace it with the old one. Just leave it. This is how I had updated my old OpenCore EFI folder, created for booting Catalina, and now updated for booting macOS Big Sur. Now, recheck each and every folder, and make sure everything looks fine before using the OpenCore EFI folder. Here I have deleted the old OpenCore EFI folder from the desktop, and my new updated OpenCore EFI folder is ready to use. Now, last one more thing is left to do. That is to update the configuration file. So, this is how you can update the configuration file, which is necessary. That's it for this video, and thanks for watching. I hope this tutorial video will found useful to you. If you have any feedback related to the video or have a query regarding the video, please let me know by commenting in the comment section. There are more tutorial videos are coming soon on my channel, so please subscribe to my channel and show your support by liking and sharing the video with your friends. This will motivate me to work hard and create good content for my viewers. Thanks, see you soon.